And without further ado, Ephram, please share with us.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, it's always a pleasure. I could share a stage with you. I'll take the opportunity, otherwise not so sure. I thought what I'd share was something that I actually just learned on the way home from Shul this past Shabbos. My father came over for lunch, and we were talking about a presentation that was upcoming. I mentioned I have a cousin who used to live in Montreal, and he moved to Eretz Yisrael, and he was working for Mossad HaRav Kook, which is a big printing house in Eretz Yisrael. And he never had an opportunity to, and he never really got the Rebbe, and he never really got Chabad. But he did see the impact, because in 1984, after the Rebbe made the introduction of learning Rambam daily, one of the only Sfarim that you could have out, this is already a newer version of it, many of you remember the black and white lined one, Mossad HaRav Kook could not keep up with the demand. There was just so many people that all of a sudden wanted to learn, and he was amazed that the Rebbe could get so many people to suddenly learn Torah. And it's also one of the reasons why the Rebbe decided, as Levi mentioned, why it's very important for us to learn Rambam. So the topic of that I was given was how and why I learned Rambam Ephram Shizgal. I think, and I'll suggest that the order just be changed to why and how I learned Rambam. And I think that as I give a little background, it'll become quite apparent. In my house, if I have the pleasure of having my daughters visiting, the way that we know that the day is ending is not, I'm tired, I want to go to bed. It's, did you finish Rambam? That's the question that's asked. Did you finish Rambam? And it's an interesting phenomenon. Why is it that Rambam sort of left to the end of the day? It's never, did you finish Chitas? It's never, did you finish Chumash Tanya? It was always, did you finish Rambam? And I think that my gut reaction to the first question of why do I learn Rambam is because in Chabad it's what everybody does. It's just, it's done. Everybody does it, so I'll do it too. That's not a good enough answer to give it a talk and at a siyum. So I went back to the Sikha of where the Rebbe officially introduced the request to learn the instruction, the Hayrah, to learn Rambam at Achron Shel Pesach in Tafshin Mem Daled in 1984. And the Rebbe very clearly says, as Levi, you had mentioned, the two reasons why we should learn. Interestingly enough, the Rebbe points out a flaw in the way that Rosh Yeshivas and the Yeshivish world is learning Rambam. Rambam puts a klal that says that anything that you're learning now in Rambam, whatever that day's Rambam is built on what he has learned already halachas prior to that, and not the ones that are coming. So in order to understand today's Rambam, you have to understand and have understood all of Rambam up until that day. So if one were to take a Sefer Rambam off the shelf and use it in a nice pilpul, a nice deep speech, unless they've learned everything up until there, they may be missing what the Rambam's actually saying. And in fact, the Rebbe wanted all of us to learn so that we can all be learning the same thing. But the Rebbe said very specifically, whoever can learn Rambam every year should learn Rambam every year, and to learn it properly, which means from beginning to end. So there's two things that therefore you need to do to learn Rambam properly. The first thing that you'll need to learn, I think you're having some feedback there. The first thing, can you turn the radio down in your car? The first thing that you need is a seder. You have to go from beginning to end. And the other thing you have to know is you have to understand every single day. Because if you didn't understand yesterday's, you probably are on track to not understanding sometime down the line, maybe even tomorrow's. And that leads to the how. That's part of the why. The real why we'll get to later, and the real why is, I bumped into somebody on the way in here, and he said that Levi asked me to speak about why I learn Rambam. He said, the Rebbe asked us to learn Rambam. That's my whole speech. So that's the why we learn Rambam. We'll talk that a little bit, but the how can actually be divided into two parts. There's, how do you learn Rambam? What's the secret of your success? How do you do it every day? And the other one is, how do you learn Rambam? What's your method? Right? What is the method that you do? So actually, I just heard this week. there was a hockey coach. He coached the Miracle on Ice Team USA team. His name was Herb Brooks. And when he used to get down in his players used to say, you're playing worse and worse every day, and now you're playing like it's next month. The content, the meaning here is that if you miss a day in Rambam, it's going to get harder. It's going to get much more difficult. You have to stay on top of it. I'm not judging myself, but I will share, one of the challenges that I have with Rambam is if I don't keep this up, because normally my Hebrew is strong enough that if I'm on top of everything, I can actually go through Rambam properly if I give myself enough time in Hebrew. And I have now Chayenu or online to check the English if I need some help. If I am rushed or I fall behind or I'm not on top of my game, then what I wind up doing is I wind up learning it in English and saying it in Hebrew. Because you have to say it in Hebrew, it's the holy tongue, biyotze. And then when I'm really falling behind and I know I'm really behind, I just say it in Hebrew. And I'm just saying it, I don't understand it, and I've lost it. And this is not what the Rebbe wanted from us, it's not what the Rebbe said, especially or exactly in the Sikha that he introduced it. So I guess the first thing to say about the method is, give yourself some time during the day. Make a achlata, make a commitment to yourself to put aside some time and make sure you have the relative freedom of mind, peace of mind to be able to do it properly. In the Sikh himself, the Rebbe said that people are called Bal Shinuim. We're masters of change. We're not always in the best frame of mind to be able to learn. And we have to be able to either put ourselves in the frame of mind or find that frame of mind, and it has to be done every day. So the first thing is to find some time, put aside the time to be able to do it properly. The second, which is, how do you do it every day? What's the secret? The secret is, like Itchy had said when he introduced it on Shabbos, that the Rebbe gave us an opportunity to connect to him. If anybody here could imagine getting a letter from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe wrote to you and asked you, Ephram Shizgal, I want you to learn a Perek Rambam every day. What an opportunity. I would embrace it. Everybody would, anybody would. It would be something that connected you directly to the Rebbe. When the Rebbe asked that, it wasn't a collective request. It was a collective individual request that everybody here, and you should spread this to everybody so all Jews will try to learn. I made a mistake. We'll learn every single day. The good news for that, about the method, is that we are starting a new cycle on Friday. So anybody who wants to can pick up that new method starting on Friday, starting from the beginning. In fact, the Perek tomorrow is beautiful and can be learned on its own. It doesn't have to be, if you haven't learned it until now, still learn it tomorrow, but Friday you can jump on and you can do it with this methodology. I wanted to just close with the Rebbe's faith in us being able to learn Rambam every day. In Hayom Yom, there's a biographical sketch of the Rebbe, and it was put together by a compiler and given to the Rebbe to edit. And in it, quote, this was what went to the Rebbe. In 5744, the Rebbe suggested that everyone should begin a daily study of Rambam and try to learn it every day. The Rebbe received that and he gave it back with the word lihishtadel, try, crossed out, such that it reads, and learn it every day. The Rebbe had complete faith in each and every one of us that we could learn it every day, so if we just put our mind to it, either make a new hachlata or renew an old hachlata with vigor, I'm sure that we will be able to do it. And as the Rebbe says in that Sikha, one of the purposes of learning Rambam is that Rambam says we will hasten the time, umala ha'aretz de'as Hashem, kamayim le'yam achasim. When Mashiach comes, the knowledge of Hashem will cover the entire world like the waters covered the seabed. May it be speedily in our days. Amen.
Asher Koyach, talking about increased hachlatas. So, as I mentioned again, there's 3 tracks. It's available to anybody. There's Sefer Mitzvahs, the basic level, doing the mitzvah every day. Increased from that is to do a chapter a day. It's available to Chayenu in English or online, and then there's 3 chapters a day. If someone was looking for a little push to nudge him to want to take on the challenge of doing 3 chapters a day, so the fact that this coming year, the 3 chapter a day siyum will be next year Gimel Tammuz, might be a little incentive for someone who feels like, wants to give a gift on such a level, then perhaps that's an increased inspiration to up their game if someone's holding at that level.